Well, you're not scared your dog's gonna bite you, are you?
I don't think I communicated this the way I wanted to, so I'm gonna try and clarify. So, what I mean by this is that your dog isn't going to bite you for no reason. If your dog bites you, maybe they're in pain, maybe there's, something happening, you're touching something that hurts, there are different scenarios where a dog will bite, even if that dog isn't an aggressive dog. On the other hand, bird biting might be closer to cat scratching. It's kind of just comes with the territory, and most cat owners will just be completely torn up and then respond with, "Oh, Mittens was just in a bad mood today. She thought she was funny." And I personally kind of look at getting bit by birds like that, and obviously I do not have any significant injuries. There are people with worse injuries and scars and everything else, and I have scars from birds, but I'm saying, there are people with significant damage from birds. I am not talking about those scenarios. What I'm talking about is sometimes birds will bite because they're hormonal and things are weird and they don't feel good and you're pestering them and, 50 other reasons. Sometimes they bite because they're falling and they panic and try and grab onto something, and instead of grabbing your shirt, or they grab your skin because they're panicking. They think they're gonna fall and they try to catch themselves. And sometimes they bite you just because they're upset and you're annoying them. Some birds have even come to the conclusion that biting is the only way that they'll get people to listen to them, and that's a lot of times how you end up with super aggressive birds. I'm not trying to cover every scenario of why birds bite, but I'm trying to clarify why I made this statement. Because it was wrong, and I should have phrased it better. To kind of put this more in perspective, I want to offer a story about Gandalf, where I got bit, and it was my fault. In this scenario, I was working on training with Gandalf, and he has had kind of aggression, territorial issues when he's sitting with a person versus another person coming up to interact with the person he's sitting with. This has been a long-standing issue that I've worked on with him since I got him. In this scenario, he was getting too worked up. I should have stopped the scenario. I should have put him somewhere to calm down and given him some space away from everyone where he could kind of settle down and work through things himself. If this sounds like a toddler having an emotional tantrum or something, it's because it's very much similar. Because we were specifically doing something that involved him being agitated, he was sitting on my arm. Gandalf prefers sitting on my arm. I have videos of him sitting on my shoulder pretty much all throughout my page because those are scenarios where he is in a very good mood, he's being very cuddly, he wants to sit on my shoulder, and he is usually taking a nap before and after the videos. And some people are going to conclude that this happened because he sits on my shoulder sometimes, and that's not the case. That's a different topic. I'm not trying to cover that today. But because he was getting agitated, he turned and he bit me. And it didn't break skin, it didn't cause significant damage. There was some swelling and some discoloration, but nothing super severe, especially because I'd iced and everything else. But the long and the short of it is that he bit my upper arm. He bit about here, and if that seems like he was on my shoulder and laid down, keep in mind that this is a very tall bird. This is not super far away from him. So he bit my upper arm, and I didn't panic or flail or scream or anything dramatic, because, fun fact, that's not how you're supposed to react when birds bite you. But I did immediately move to put him down so that I was no longer getting bit and he could calm down. When I started to put him down, he did panic a little bit because he thought I was just going to drop him. I wouldn't, but he thought that was what was happening. So he did squeeze a little bit tighter, and this caused worse damage than what would have happened because he then felt like he needed to grab on because I was going to drop him. And I wasn't mad at him, I didn't punish him, he didn't get in trouble for this. This was a scenario where he was upset, and this is what he felt he needed to do to communicate because I was not stopping the scenario. And I should have stopped it sooner, but that's why we're working on it. Because this cannot be what happens when he sits with someone and that person he's sitting with talks to someone else. So this is something I adjusted from. I learned from the scenario, I'm moving forward, made changes. Hasn't really been an issue other than this one's instance, but it's a long-term thing we're working on. So I want to be clear that getting bit by birds is a reality. I don't want anyone to look at my page, and this is my fear, I don't want anyone to look at my page and think that because Gandalf is sweet in the snippets that you see of life with a macaw, that every bird is going to be like that, and every day is like that, and it's not like that. He's not here because he's having a day and he's in a mood and he needed a break. That's just how it is. My intention with posting about Gandalf is more to help educate people on what bird body language looks like, what a happy bird looks like, so that people can get a better understanding of what an unhappy bird looks like and when you should not be interacting with that bird. And the reason I don't post a lot of videos of Gandalf being in a bad mood is because nothing's really happening. I don't go and poke him. He just kind of sits there and has his own, like, little mood for the day. I also just kind of want to make birds look more approachable to people, to make them look more like these loving, sweet creatures that they are. But the reality is that they bite, and if you have a large bird, when they bite, they can do a lot of damage. Depending on what the comments look like and kind of what the response is, I might talk more about this topic. But for the sake of my own mental health, this might be a thing where I just kind of have this video and then delete the first video, just because I didn't say that right, and I feel really bad about that, because I should have phrased it better. I should have.